The DJI Mini 4 Pro is the most cinematically capable sub 250 gram drone that we have ever seen. But what good is all this potential if you actually have no idea how to make the most out of it? In this video, I'm going to tell you everything you need to know to make your Mini 4 Pro footage so cinematic that you're going to shock even yourself. And not only that, I've also created a completely free 7-day course to go along with this video so you can actually put into practice all the things that I'm talking about. I'm going to tell you more about that towards the end of this video, but make sure you stick around because this video is completely jam-packed full of value. So grab your drone, sit tight, and let's get into it. So let's say that you pull up to an amazing location like I am right now. I'm in the middle of the jungle here on the island of Koh Samui, and to get great shots, we need to have great camera settings. And the first thing you need to change, you need to go into the menu here by clicking the 3 dots in the top right hand corner. Then we want to go onto camera and scroll down until we find style. Now, if you click the little drop down there, we're going to see sharpness and noise reduction. We're going to want to set both of these to -2. Basically, sharpness and noise reduction are digital enhancements that the Mini 4 Pro is doing to your footage. And if you set them both to -2, you're getting the most raw image straight into the camera. Now, you can always add noise reduction or sharpness in post-production, but for the most cinematic footage, we want the cleanest raw image that we can possibly have. Next, we're going to take a look at the camera settings that we can access from the main screen. Now, in the bottom right-hand corner, we have 2 sections. If we click on the section here on the left, we can choose some of these settings. Now, white balance, we're going to want to set this from auto to manual. Now, if you leave this on auto, you can get some weird color shifts when you're shooting footage, if you're going from a light to a dark environment, for instance. So we want to have this on manual. Now, generally, it's going to want to be somewhere between 5,000 and 5,500 Kelvin, but it is going to vary a lot depending on the day. Today, the drone went from auto and it was at 6,600 Kelvin. I do think that is a little bit too warm for this scene, so I'm going to bring this down to 5,500, which is going to be pretty much how this looks in real life. Now, moving down, we can see the video quality. 4K is the highest quality image that we can get out of the Mini 4 Pro, so I always recommend that we shoot in 4K. And for cinematic footage, I always shoot in 30 frames per second if I'm going to be using the footage at its normal speed. Now, if I'm going to film footage that I want to slow down in post-production, I'm going to crank this up to 4K 60. What this allows me to do is slow the footage down by up to 50% in post-production while still retaining nice, smooth-looking footage. But for the moment, I'm going to leave this in 4K 30 while we do some normal shooting. And then if we scroll down, we can see color profiles. Now, we're going to want to shoot in the D-Log-M color profile. This is the flattest color profile that is available to us on the Mini 4 Pro, and this is going to preserve details in the highlights and the shadows of our footage, and it's going to give us way more room to play with color correction and color grading in post-production. So D-Log-M is the one to use. And if you're sick of seeing that really grayed out D-Log-M footage on the screen, you can actually change this. So if you go into the 3 dots in the top right hand corner, then we click onto camera, and then you just want to activate color display assist. What this does is it basically just puts a LUT onto the image that you're seeing on the screen. The drone is still recording in D-Log-M, but you're seeing a full color image, and it just makes life a bit easier when it comes to seeing what you're actually looking at from the drone. Okay, so now I'm going to move on to the next section of camera controls, which is just to the right. And here we have ISO, shutter speed, and we're going to want these both to be again set to manual. So if auto is in yellow, it is on auto. Click it again, puts it into manual settings. Now ISO, we're always going to want to have this as low as possible when shooting in daytime environments. So ISO 100 is going to give us the least noise in our image. Now, if you're shooting at nighttime, you are going to have to crank that ISO number up a little bit higher in order to get the image as bright as you want. But the Mini 4 Pro has excellent night shooting modes, which is going to really help you out with this. Now, when we look at shutter speed, we're going to want to follow the 180-degree shutter rule. So what that states is that our shutter speed should be double our frame rate. So here I'm shooting in 4K 30 frames per second. So my shutter speed wants to be 1/60, which is double my frame rate. Now, in order to get the correct exposure, we need to use ND filters. Now, on the drone, I currently have an ND 128 filter, which is allowing me to reduce the amount of light coming into the sensor to get the correct exposure. Now, if you need to learn more about ND filters, I have a completely dedicated video which tells you everything you need to know about using ND filters on the Mini 4 Pro. I will link it at the end of this video, but you need to go and check that one out as well. So ND filters are very important because it allows us to achieve natural motion blur, which is going to make our footage more cinematic. Something you'll notice if you're not using ND filters is when you put these camera settings in, your image is going to be very overexposed. That's okay because we can correct this by just increasing the shutter speed. This does mean, however, that we won't have any motion blur in our footage, but you can still get usable footage. It's just not going to be as cinematic as it could be. Right, so next I'm going to talk about actually controlling the drone using the sticks. Now, when you're doing this, you need to be as smooth and precise as possible. If you're really jerky and snappy on the sticks, you're going to get horrible looking video footage. It's going to look jerky and awful. Where if you're really nice and smooth with the sticks, your footage is going to be nice, cinematic, smooth. It's a very big difference between amateur looking footage and professional looking footage. The ability to be really smooth on the sticks is something you need to learn over time, but go out and practice it and you will just get better and better the more that you try it. A little tip I can give you if you're struggling to be really smooth on the sticks, if you're just using your thumb and you're finding it really hard to be smooth and precise, you can actually do this, which is called pinching. If you use two fingers like this, and you can actually be more precise, and it can give you the feeling of more control over the drone. You might like it, you might not, but if you're struggling, give it a try. So next recommendation is when it comes to using ActiveTrack on the Mini 4 Pro. ActiveTrack is a really powerful tool on the Mini 4 Pro, especially for solo filmmakers. You should be making the most out of it. I also have a fully dedicated video for ActiveTrack that you should go and check out. But one tip I can give you when using ActiveTrack is that sometimes it can be a little bit jerky because the drone is having to take into account a lot of different things. Its movements can also be a little bit more jumpy. So if you're shooting in ActiveTrack, I recommend you shoot in 60 frames a second. Now what this is going to allow you to do is slow down the footage in post-production, and if you slow down the footage in post, it's going to help to smooth out those slight jerks in the movement of the drone that you sometimes get when using ActiveTrack. Another feature you should be using to help you get nice cinematic footage is cruise control. Cruise control is such a powerful feature on the Mini 4 Pro. It's one of the most underrated features in my opinion. And to make best use of it, you should check out my video where I give you a full run through of cruise control. But for cruise control, you can use it to set up a really nice cinematic maneuver, and then you don't have to touch the sticks. The drone can just continue to fly that exact same pattern, capturing that beautiful cinematic footage without the risk of you sort of losing exactly where your fingers are on the sticks and things looking a bit less professional. So make sure you're making use of cruise control on the Mini 4 Pro. Okay, now let's move on to cinematic composition. Now, something we can use to help us achieve the right composition is we can use the rule of thirds grid. And to get this displayed on your controller screen, all you have to do is tap the three dots in the top right hand corner, go across to camera, and then scroll down until we see grid lines, and the rule of thirds is the middle one there. Mine is already selected, but if you put that on, now we're going to see the grid on the screen. It's going to help you to compose your shots better. So a little tip for getting nicer composition is, as we can see here, the horizon is actually down the middle of the screen for framing. Now, if you want to make it a bit more cinematic, if you're filming something that is below the horizon, then you're going to want to just tilt the gimbal down until the horizon rests on the upper horizontal line. What this is going to do, it's going to make the framing a lot more cinematic. You can see more of what's actually below the horizon if that's what you're trying to showcase. Or if you're trying to showcase more of what's above the horizon, say you're filming a sunset scene, instead of tilting the gimbal down, just tilt the gimbal up until the horizon rests on the bottom line of the rule of thirds grid. Now, this is a really simple thing you can do just to improve your composition if you're not rotating the gimbal during your shot. Something else we want to do is if we're tracking an object that's moving, say, from right to left, we're going to want to offset the object to the right-hand side of the screen. We want to put it onto that right-hand grid line so that we have more empty space to the left of it. What this is going to achieve is it's going to allow us to feel like we're seeing where the sort of thing we're tracking is moving towards. We've got more empty space. We can see the scene is developing. If you put it on the wrong side of the screen, your shot's just going to look weird. It's not going to feel right. So make sure that if it's traveling from right to left, you put it on the right of the screen. If it's traveling from left to right, put it on the left of the screen. Okay, I'm going to quickly just go over lighting. Now, because we're outside, we don't have that much control over our lighting environments, but the most cinematic times of day to be flying are going to be sunrise and sunset. Now, this is going to give us the softest lighting and the most colorful lighting. We've all seen a really nice bright orange sunset, and then it goes purple, pink. Those colors look especially good on a drone, and if you head out early in the morning or late in the evening to capture whatever it is you're going to capture, you're going to get much more cinematic footage just because of the natural lighting that's around. If you're filming in the middle of the day and you can't avoid it, it's not a big issue, but the lighting is not going to be as cinematic as if it was sunrise or sunset. The next thing I want to cover is using your drone footage to aid your storytelling. Now, drone footage is really powerful for storytelling because you get a much different perspective than you would normally. Now, some things you can do to help your storytelling: if you're opening a new scene with your drone footage, try and have the drone moving forwards into the location. Forwards movement helps give the viewer the sense that they are going into somewhere new, and the same goes for closing a scene. So if you're closing a scene, you want the reverse. If you have rearwards movement in the drone footage, it makes you feel like you're leaving a scene, something is coming to an end, and these little things can help to really elevate the storytelling of your drone footage. Now, if you want to learn even more about storytelling and drone footage, I've made a complete drone storytelling video. I'll link it downstairs in the description. You can go and check that one out after watching this one. But I now need to tell you some things that we can do in post-production to make our drone footage even better. Now, earlier in this video, I said I recommend you shoot everything in D-Log-M, which is the flattest color profile, which gives us the most versatility in post-production. Now, if you don't want to do a lot of color grading, you can actually download a LUT straight from DJI, which converts your D-Log-M footage straight into Rec. 709, and it's basically completely usable footage at that point. You may want to make some minor tweaks and changes to it, but that's going to be the most simple way to take your D-Log-M to full Rec. 709 color footage. Now, something else you need to bear in mind is when we fly our drones don't capture any audio, and one of the most vital things to getting really nice cinematic footage is to add all of those sound effects in post-production that we would have heard in the scene. Now, a good example of this is if your drone footage is by the beach, you're going to want to add in sounds of the ocean and the waves, maybe even some birds, seagulls flying. All of these things really help to make your footage come across as way more cinematic. Now, yet again, I have a complete sound design video. It's super helpful. You need to go and check it out. I'll also link that one downstairs in the description so you can check it out after this one. Now, at the start of this video, I mentioned that there is a completely free 7-day course that goes hand in hand with this video to help you put into practice all of the different things that I've been talking about. Now, I've literally just launched my website, and this is the first in a series of completely free courses that I'm going to release to you all. And the first 5 people to sign up to this course are going to get a completely free video feedback session. So at the end of the course, you go and you make a little sequence. The first 5 people to sign up, I'm going to give you a completely free video review, some pointers, a few things you can improve on. So make sure you go and sign up as quick as you can. It's completely free. It'll help me out a ton. I just want to make sure that you guys can get the most cinematic footage that you possibly can from your Mini 4 Pro. And if you want 10 cinematic drone moves that you can use straight away, I use them every single time that I go flying. You should go and check out this video right here with the 10 most cinematic drone shots that you can use. And if you need to know how to use your ND filters better, this video right here will tell you everything you need to know about ND filters. Thank you so much for watching. Check out the course, check out these videos, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.